Pedagogy of multinational real-time webinars for blended learning. This short video provides a concise summary of best pedagogical practice relating to webinars as an integral part of blended learning. Webinars proved to be a fundamental part of the Erasmus Plus project VirtuCope, European Blended Learning and HDR Photography, co-financed by the European Commission, involving the partners from 6 European countries: the Czech Republic, Germany, Hungary, Italy, Portugal, and the United Kingdom. Let's start by defining some of the terms. What is blended learning? There are many definitions of blended learning, but most involve a mix of traditional face-to-face meetings and e-learning, adapted and fine-tuned to the needs of the group, their geographical location, and the subject matter. So, what is a webinar? The term webinar comes from 2 words, web and seminar. The group can be of any size, and those involved in the webinar meet simultaneously in a virtual classroom, through the internet, and the proceedings are delivered live by one or more online trainers. The web conferencing software Adobe Connect 9 was used as the virtual classroom for the VirtuCope project. Inevitably, there will be some technical issues from time to time, which can affect the smooth delivery of a webinar, but generally the system used in the VirtuCope project proved itself to be robust and reliable. Always test the system with the presenter well in advance. Just like face-to-face meetings, webinars require a suitable pedagogical approach which is carefully adapted to the needs of learners and the learning content. As part of the project, universities, adult and further education providers, and companies all contributed their skills and experiences to work out a practical pedagogical guide for online trainers, which is summarized in this video. The webinars were all evaluated, and a large majority of respondents affirmed that webinars are user-friendly and a good way to learn, and that they would make use of webinars in their own field of activity as learners or trainers. So what are the key features of an effective and engaging webinar? In this video, we're focusing on the most important pedagogical aspects of webinars, many of which are key to meaningful learning in all settings, but which we feel are particularly important in webinars. Use of speech is of great importance to everyone, but particularly to auditory learners, those who learn best through what they hear. Intonation, pitch of voice, and speech rate all influence the effectiveness of the webinar enormously. Most listeners feel comfortable when the pitch of the voice is neutral. Intonation greatly influences content-related communication. Clear intonation of a speaker transfers self-confidence and competence, and it can inspire the audience and hold their attention, as shown in this clip.
Right, okay, well, welcome everyone again. As last time, I will try and keep to a slow pace and not speak too quickly. What I'm going to do tonight is continue from where I left off, really, a month ago.
Finally, as said before, HDR is the ultimate digital representation of light. It can hold more light than any technology before, and it does better than any other.
Effectively use panoramic photos. Those are towns and cities. Each city or municipality depends on tourism. 360 HDR panorama is a good way to let people know about culture in particular city, or to show interesting sites which could catch visitors' eye in interest. This can create a virtual tour composed of interesting city buildings, such as the City Hall, Courthouse, Museum, Church, and many, many more. Here you can see Ostrava Main Square.
Active involvement of the participants in the webinar is important. Here, the presenter uses a poll to engage the group in the presentation, allowing them to respond and give their point of view to the presenter.
We want to ask you, which program do you use for HDR image processing? And then you can have a click here, and so have a look to the programs. If you don't have one program, if you don't have work with the HDR image processing, you can click No Program. Okay.
Or if you work with several programs, you can also click on several programs.
And others. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and other programs. If you have other programs, you can click there. Okay.
Better using the HDR technique. Do you think that it actually looks better with an HDR as the pictures on the left-hand side? Do you think that this picture can profit from the HDR technique? Do you think that it brings a lot to the original pictures? What do you think? Why is it better? How do you find its details? Okay, Lily said yes, so that's a clear yes to HDR, I guess. So she likes the HDR better. And I see Ruth is typing. I hope she will vote for HDR. And also the Italian colleagues are typing. Let's see what you think. Absolutely, Marina likes the picture, the HDR picture. Okay, then it gives us the impression that the HDR is really better than the original ones. Ruth says, I think the light of the day and the interior room are not easy with common photography. That's very true, because you could never make those lights up there.
The importance of using images rather than relying on the written or spoken word in the webinar cannot be stressed too much. As the proverb states, a picture paints 1,000 words. This is particularly true in the case of the VirtuCope project, whose focus is photography, and for those who are visual learners. It also helps greatly where there might be language barriers.
The photographers at works. That, I think, is worth it. I think this picture doesn't need a comment. These are the last pictures about the relaxing moment that we had a very great time in doing this project.
Another way of ensuring that there is variety in the presentation is to include other media, such as a short video presentation. Here, the presenter illustrates what they're talking about with a relevant piece of video.
First video concerns the photographic walk, and the second one will concern the photomatics session.
Shadows settle on the place
By using the Share My Screen facility, the presenter can actually demonstrate a software program being used in real time to the learners. In this clip, the presenter shows one of the key techniques used in the VirtuCope project to create HDR images using the Photomatics Pro software. Where the presenter sets actual tasks for learners to carry out during or after the presentation, even kinesthetic learners, who learn best by tactile, hands-on learning, can be accommodated.
You can see on my screen, you can see Photomatics Pro here. And now I want to start with a picture from the lady. It's now here in this folder. And here are the 3 pictures from the lady in the Baroque castle. And you remember, you know it, it's a normal picture, it's a normal exposure time, and -2 and +2, and the 3 pictures I make drag and drop to Photomatics Pro. And now you know Photomatics is ask me first if I want to make a HDR processing. Yes, I want. And I say okay, but it's important that you select show 32-bit unprocessed image, because this is your original HDR photo. You can also save it, and you can load it again and make the tone mapping only with this picture. So I say here I always select it.
Interaction between the presenter and the audience can be enhanced by the use of oral discussion, by activating the microphone of a participant and allowing them to speak.
If you have a microphone and you want to say something, you can write a notice in the chat, and I can give you the right to speak. If I give you the microphone, if you want to stop the microphone, and you have to press the microphone button in the menu. Maybe I can give you now the microphone.
It can also be appropriate to move to a website to illustrate a point or show suitable content elsewhere, again holding the learner's interest.
Something I read was quite interesting. This person said, if you Google "I hate HDR," you'll get millions and millions of results. So I did just that, and as you can see, I got 603,000 results saying I hate HDR. Of course, a lot of those were probably just picking up the initials HDR anyway. But I also tried the next obvious thing, which is I love HDR, and got 4,700,000. So I don't think that is probably saying anything whatsoever about the number of people who love it as opposed to hate it. But I thought, well, it's not as simple as just putting in something like that. And I think as well, a lot of this controversy about HDR photography is more concerned with what people have seen, whether it's been well done or not. And that's something that we're going to be looking at in a moment in a little more detail. So I put a few of these up towards the end of the last webinar, and you can see some quite interesting things. New fad, all this business about halos, about it being unreal, how the colors can be oversaturated, odd color shifts, not real photography. I mean, people really do get a bit carried away with their comments. Painful to look at, and that's pushing it a little bit. But those are just some of the things that you can have a look at. Looking over there at the chat, well, it's interesting to see people's comments coming in. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. Yes. Okay.
The chat facility is a great way of ensuring that people can have their say. This might be at the start of the session where people are signing in, greeting each other, socializing, or perhaps when the presenter asks participants to comment on a particular issue, brainstorming. Again, it is the perfect way for people to sign out and say goodbye at the end of the session, thanking others for their contributions and so on.
So, hello everybody. I would like to welcome you at my HDR in Portrait and Fashion Photography webinar. So, how it will looks like the next 45, 50, maybe 60 minutes. I would like to split into 3 sessions. The first will be just quick reminding what HDR is, because there are a lot of new participants in this webinar. So just very quickly and clearly go through this topic. Then I will bring you into small visit into history, and then I will tell you something about HDR in portrait and fashion photography. I will give you some tips and tricks, and I will tell you how I am doing with.
And let's see our last example, which is a castle in France. Here I have the last brainstorming activity for you today. I would like to ask you which picture would you use for which purposes. So please use again the interactive chat tool on the right hand side to write me some ideas on which picture you prefer, so whether you like the one on the left hand side or the one on the right hand side. Which picture would you use for what kind of marketing activities? Which picture could be liked more by one target group? Which picture could be preferred by another target group? So what do you think? Which picture? Where would you use which picture? And then I promise you this is the last activity today, so the last brainstorming. So be very active. So Ruth says the left one is the castle where I would live. Sure. If you have one room left, please consider that I'm moving in. The right is the castle of Tale. Yes. So this means that actually, if you are a real estate agent and if you search for very wealthy customers, then you use the left-hand side picture of the castle to draw the attention of the wealthy customers to this very worthy castle. And then on the right-hand side, you would use the picture more for advertising of tales of children's programs. So this is a perfectly other target group.
Everybody, enjoy your HDR photography from Luigi, Marina, Giuseppe, Paolo, Alberto, and myself. Thank you. Thanks so much to everybody.
Another feature which helps to actively engage the participants is the whiteboard facility. This allows participants to add their own drawn or written contribution to an on-screen whiteboard.
Community. It's in Germany a big community. I think maybe also in Italy, and maybe you know it. It's not only in Germany, I think in France, I think also in Italy, I don't know. But the statement is, if you have a camera sensor which can catch the whole light of a scene, you don't need HDRE. What do you think about? I give you the right to write your answer on the whiteboard. You find on the left side, you find the possibility for the text or to draw something. Okay, what do you think? Maybe you can write it in the chat. Is it right or is it not right? Do you understand the meaning?
Conclude the webinar with a Q&A session using the chat facility. The presenter can speak their response to the questioner's typed questions.
Inside. Yeah, okay. Yeah? Yeah, that's okay. Yeah. Oh, you think the sky? Okay, yes. It's oh. The shadows and the shadows, the trees, the shadows. Yeah, okay. Okay. You think the water and okay. Maybe if you want to, you can paint something and see. It's nice. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fine. The water. And maybe what do you think about? Do you think about the color? Is it maybe you have different? You can write it in the chat. Write it in the chat, please. If you have some question or on the picture, but it's no place.
The boat.
So thank you. It's very, I think, find the areas and the region in this photo. And now I have a HDR photo from this picture.
Finally, direct the webinar participants to an online questionnaire which you have prepared in advance to allow them to provide you with valuable, formative feedback.
Yeah, and it's important, the questionnaire. Yeah. It's typing on the whiteboard. Bye. Yeah. So I now I close the classroom and wish all a very good evening and a very good time, and see you in the next and see you in the next meeting from our Czech team. Yeah. Okay. Bye bye.
In conclusion, so what have we concluded makes the most engaging and successful webinars? Always test the system with the presenter well in advance. Ensure the webinar is well planned and carefully adapted to the needs of learners and the learning content. Clear intonation, neutral pitch of voice and steady speech rate are essential. Engage the learners with interactive features such as polls during the webinar. Use visual imagery regularly, not just words. Incorporate video clips and visit relevant websites. Use Share My Screen to demonstrate in real time. Set tasks for the learners to complete during or after the webinar. When appropriate, allow oral discussion by opening microphone access to selected participants. Consider how the chat facility can be best used and use it. Use the whiteboard facility to engage participants. Include a question and answer session at the end. Encourage feedback and comments to make it even better next time. We hope you found this short video interesting and that you will be able to visit the project website at www.virtucope.eu.